Lovely stroke.
Handshake. I love the funny part is, you're not supposed to handshake.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have to
for some of the measures, right?
Yeah. Kwanza una handshake na the thing yenye sababu yake we are not handshaking.
Exactly. But wait, you do though.
It is on another level. This guy.
I'm actually trying to remember when he mentioned about twin sisters, but I can't remember exactly the joke. But his jokes are usually...
I remember, it was during the burial of, I think, alikuwa inaitwa Monica or something. She was murdered. And then akasema, I'm a proud daughter of 3 fathers.
Why did he usually on another level?
It's called the Punjab.
Whitish.
Firebrand, Joshua, the next meme.
Alright, moving on to the next meme. Ati nimeenda kupima kiatu ya mkale mwingine. Akaniambia ya small foot. Saizi ndio nimerealize alikuwa na mean small foot. Anasema my foot.
Don't put your foot in touch.
Leather jacket.
Chaget.
My chaget.
Don't abuse my chaget.
And gum.
And sometimes it gets even interesting. Wakati the spelling has been translated to writing. Like utapata mtu ameandika hivyo. Small foot. Like that is what they have written, not said.
I only thought ni kusema.
Written like, hey.
Hey, let's do 2 last memes, Firebrand, Kevin.
Yeah. Just a minute.
Okay.
Hey, this one. Kikuyus. There's a tougher word than parallelogram. Nimejaribu corollary. Haisemeki hata kwa akili. And I don't even know how nimeisema. I don't know how nimeisema, but sitarudia. Hiyo word haisemeki hata kwa akili. Parallelogram.
Corollary.
Parallelogram.
Nimekumbuka there's another meme ilikuwa na hiyo. Waititu ndiye alikuwa like was the subject. Alafu amekuwa hapa and then anasema that the time alikuwa arrested. So ameambiwa say the word parallelogram na tutakurelease. Alisema tu acha nipelekeni ndani.
So the good thing, if you're a Kikuyu out there and these things are hard, just say para. That's all.
Haters.
It's a sword. Para or
You're the haters.
Koro.
Kuna Kikuyu wameomoka. You're the haters.
Kwanza wameomoka ndio.
Kwanza wao ndio.
Parallelogram.
Ama niongeza like wanawenga about corollary. Simple.
The road is my portion.
The road, give thanks, glory to the road.
He's my portion, somebody.
Anasema he's a road comfort.
I know that. That's usually the worst.
Yeah.
Because they have the American accent. Na bado anasema.
Samuel.
Yeah. Kwanza that one.
So you are still haters. Bora tumeomoka, nothing. Bora tumeokoka. Hakuna bora tumeomoka, nothing.
So na kama shanza kusema ati bora tumeokoka.
Unaona? Marikiti.
Haters. Let's bring haters. Haters. Corollary. Sisi ndio leo Kikuyu tumeokoka. Corollary. Period.
We're sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
Let's wrap up with the last meme.
I'm a boyfriend and you want a husband. Kwa nini unataka kuruka terms and conditions? Pitia kwa Wanaisraeli uteseke kidogo kabla ufike promised land. Yeah. This is my favorite meme sasa. That's
Why do you want to jump the process?
Terms and conditions za kuteseka. Lazima upitie pale desert Mungu unaitwaje? Pale Mount Sinai.
Parts za kuteseka ni kama the meme we did last time. You are going for food.
Hapana.
Yes, hizo ndio terms and conditions za kuna. Those are the terms and conditions za kuteseka. Nothing. You had gone for the food. Alafu kidogo who does that? Who does that?
Unataka propose.
You know how you guys started? I have something to tell you.
Yes.
Nothing. We have gone out to eat.
Yes.
See, I gonna something
very important. Can I tell you something?
Unataka uambiwe ukiwa these men are so romantic. Wanakutake out wakwambie kama umeshiba.
Kama ni romance ni mote.
Unataka uambiwe ukiwa na njaa.
Kama ni romance ni kutofauti.
No.
Haya, all the guys out there umesikia kutoka leo usipeleke game out akuna.
Sijasema usipeleke out. Nothing. Sijasema siende kula. For the food is on behalf of the foodie association. Sijasema siende kula. Only that. Look for better moments. Sisi lina kula. No. We have relationship. Foodies have relationships with food. Nimeenda kula. Hapo unaanza kuchoma picha. Ulisikia hakuna.
Kwa hivyo kumeenda double date.
And according to him, we can't date water. By the way, with the relationship with
so kumeenda double
exactly.
Then
with the first date being food.
You unaanza practice to cheat even before relationship ends.
No, with the first date nothing. With the first date being food. Yes, the first date being free food. Very important.
Those foodies are supposed to this meme. You want husband and you don't have a boyfriend.
Exactly.
Pitia kwanza masaibu ya boyfriend.
Pitia masaibu.
Masaibu ni wewe umeenda kula kama that is the only masaibu
no.
That's it. Hakuna.
There's no husband without boyfriend.
No, moving forward.
Ni vizuri pia
nothing. Moving forward.
Pitia kwanza boyfriend. Those are terms and
conditions applied.
The terms and conditions.
Yeah, when you're going to eat and then he proposes. If those are the problems, then that's
that one is not a term or a condition.
We are not going to dwell into this.
When you're going to
we have to resolve this.
We
will not be like the government which leaves things unresolved. We have to resolve this thing.
Let's resolve it so that we move on to the next topic.
Yeah, so when you go for a date, be expectant of anything. Yes. Especially if it's not the first or the second date and you have been communicating. Just expect it.
Nasikia nipinya kuna sanitizer ningekusalimia.
There is nothing that just comes that way. Even if it's just a catching up meeting between you and your buddy, there is something always on the table that person decided that I'm going to share this thing when we are eating.
And the good thing is these people are mindful enough. They don't want you to faint.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
They don't want to.
Ladies. No, I am bringing this to an end.
Let's ask the
I am putting this. Ladies, put it on the comment section. Nothing.
Let's ask them. Do you prefer being proposed to kama umeshiba ama kama uko na njaa?
Exactly.
Give us your feedback.
Your 2 cents.
Give us.
And once again, on all our social media platforms, you can send your memes and also write which meme interested you. Like actually throughout this season, which was your favorite meme? So we have to do this always again, like switching gears. It's usually very weird, but let's switch gears. So today's topic, once again, is the state of the nation, but we will focus on the main topic, which is the COVID-19 pandemic, with cases rising, especially. Yesterday, we saw a couple of cases on Citizen News. 5 doctors died just in a week, and then we had 38 students reported having the COVID-19 infection. So my first question would be, since this is a national cry, in your view, what should the government do about it?
Okay, thank you. I think from March until up to this point, we have gone through so much. And I think that the government, if it could focus more on not really containing it because it cannot really be contained,
right,
but mitigating it once you are infected, just making sure that you can access medication. Personally, I think that one will be better compared to.
I think why we keep asking this question is because the government is wanting. So let's use the police force, for example. Correct. There was the Inspector General who said if you're found without a mask, 20,000, or what else? If you're found driving past 10 p.m., they take away your driving license. some of these measures are a bit wanting.
Yeah.
And that's why we keep asking, what should the government do about it? Because yes, they are reacting, but their reactions are a bit wanting.
Yeah.
And so what's your view? So actually, that's why we keep asking this question.
Because let me give you the best example that you have mentioned. The directive by the police department that if you are caught, if you are found by the police driving past curfew hours, that is past 10 p.m., your driving license will be revoked. Number one, you cannot spread COVID when you're in your vehicle.
Right.
So revoking the driving license, it will not do any good. It might also be that the same driving license, you are going to pick someone who is sick.
Right.
And they won't listen to that. So we need to focus to look at the cost and the benefit. So what is the cost of all these measures and what is the benefit? At this moment, before it was worthy, because we were trying to make sure we never had so much information or knowledge about the COVID-19. But at this moment, we have got so much knowledge about it. So at this moment, we need to work based on science.
Right.
We should not just based on our emotions, the decisions that we are making. So I think the government should start focusing on science.
I like that. Firebrand, Joshua?
I think first, maybe just to backtrack a little bit, when they say they'll maybe take someone's license, I think it's a term because the government has realized that Kenyans are ignorant most of the times, and if they don't they don't go hard on measures, probably people will be out more during beyond the curfew hours. That's why they say they will fine you 20,000. They will take away your driving license, just to make people have that, maybe have the fear and be in the houses early enough. But I still think there's more. Maybe the government need to do. And most of one of the things, or the major things, is still continue pushing on the measures. Wash your mikono, sanitize, wear your mask. I mean, the more emphasis should be on even giving more of the free masks, so that if someone forgot their mask and because we're living in a country where most of the people probably they can't afford like having 5 masks at the same time. You get? So have an extra mask. Let them be in plenty, such that someone can have like even five pieces when they are walking. So I think the government should just push this thing, especially on the measures. Have as many masks as we can, have as much water as we can. You get, make them readily available, which the government has really tried to an extent, because most places have those things. But maybe do more of that push, and also just try to even the hospitals, PPEs, and all those things. I think that's what, because there's nothing we can do right now. We can't close the nation. We can't. There's nothing much that we can do beyond to curb maybe the infection, apart from the measures.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yesterday on news, 4 doctors, very well-known doctors, passed away by the COVID-19. Do you think it's justified? Because the doctors mentioned they want to take a strike. Is it justified? Mr. Tudikalan?
I think it will be difficult even for them to go for strike, because we need to ask ourselves, what do they need? What do they need? First of all, I don't believe that even striking is a solution.
A solution, right?
Because you can strike, the government looks at you, and we oftentimes forget that one of the core things that are normally taught in such professions is ethics.
Right.
And ethics, by nature, even nurses, the moment they are on strike, you'll realize that they are still at the hospital serving. So that is why sometimes even the government don't take them seriously, because they are always there. It is the nature of their job. You cannot look at a person dying when you're in a position to help.
But let me ask you on that. What draws the line between ethics and actually taking care of yourself?
Ethics is basically...
Because there's always a thin line.
Yeah. Whatever the society considers right. For example, in Kenya, in the US, maybe taking a piece of paper and throwing it on the street, it is
Unethical.
It is very unethical practice. But in Kenya, because it has like nothing has been put, so no one
So
will have a conviction. So if you do it somewhere where they are used not to doing it, you will have a personal conviction. But in this place, you don't even have that conviction, because also ethics comes with a conviction. So in the medical sector, you'll realize that these people are taught. Like one of the core things is those principles, the ethical principles. Even like giving the patient like the ability, like the principle of autonomy. You make your own decision. We are not going to enforce a decision on you. So these are things that they have grown up. They have grown in the profession knowing. So now when they decide to strike, that strike, yes, they will strike, but very few of them will participate in that strike. It will be known that they have striked, but it will not be that effective. So I think we should stop addressing things from the standpoint of negative confrontation. Of we are going to deny you this thing so that you give us that one, because that one is a very bad direction. It's like let's say in the Bible. In the Bible, even God himself, he never used such a thing. He never used such a thing, because when he said that I've blessed you, whether you do the right thing or
he still blesses you.
yes, he's just blessed you.
So
but there are consequences.
If you don't do it
There are consequences for your actions.
That
is what you are going to suffer, but they are not something new. So we cannot come like the doctors. I don't think if it will be wise for them to strike just to address that thing, because it is something that they have gone through school to practice. So I think it should be more of the doctors should use the power of the professional body to enforce some things, because I believe that even before some laws are passed at the parliamentary level, they have to get approval from the professional bodies. So if they can sanction most of these things from this level, I think it will address the problems more. Yeah.
Do you have anything to add?
I think I would have a contrary opinion a little bit, but still support what Reverend Kevin says. I think sometimes the only language that our government listens to is strike, and it's so unfortunate that it is that way. The doctors, their complaint is they don't have enough facilities and equipments, especially during this period of this pandemic. And I think they are justified to say they'll go on strike. Sometimes, just as Michelle, you've said about the thin line. The thin line, and here it's where is where it comes, because we've tried to work, but the government seems like it's not giving us what we need in terms of equipment, and maybe let's talk even of allowances. And I think they are justified of not working, maybe striking and all that. But my advice, or what I would say, is the best thing right now, where especially with the state of the nation right now, it's not the best thing to do, because many lives are at stake. We will lose a lot of lives, and people's lives are not to be joked with. So I think it's high time the KMPDU and all the other
bodies,
if they can come together and negotiate with the government. And I think it's high time also government listens to them. This is the best time for dialogue. Let them sit down and agree. this is how we're going to facilitate you, we're going to provide these things, you get. Because it's not, they are justified,
Right.
but it's not the right thing, it's not the best thing to do, especially right now.
Okay.
So that's the state of the nation right now. Yeah.
And interesting, there's a report that is coming out. Actually, it's been there for quite a while. That the reason why doctors are dying is because we have shortages of PPEs. And if you backtrack, there's a time where, according to the news, there were donations by Jack Ma. So we'll ask this question again: Does corruption have a part to play with this, especially with the PPEs?
Yes, that one is.
And not just corruption, not just the PPEs, just being able to curb the COVID-19. Does corruption have a part to play with the entire situation?
I think I can say that 99% of the effects that we are experiencing is due to corruption and
Right.
poor management and poor leadership in totality. And I'll start from the onset, even before the thing came to Kenya, like before we reported our first case. There were numerous complaints by the people telling, urging the government, can you please just stop all the international travel? Because if you stop it, it will be easier for us to contain these people. And the government refused for 2 weeks. And the planes, Kenya Airways was landing people from China, South China, where the thing was highly prevalent.
Right.
And they came, and the government now said that they are going to have a quarantine facility at the airport.
Were they 200? They were 200.
Yeah. And then once the people got in, what happened? The farthest they went was using the temperature gun.
Yes.
And that is the only thing that happened. So and then they were told go and self-quarantine at home. So from that point is now when all this thing exploded. And then from there we had we had an opportunity to seize it. But the government, what they did do when it received donation first of all for testing, and then the other one was donation from the World Bank to create quarantine facilities. So because the government was charging for a service which was already paid for, and reporting to the international donors that the money that you gave us is the one that we are using to cater for the quarantine and sustaining the people. And so that means that was corruption, because that money was being diverted to another place. Now when the people started complaining, again, what did they do? They decided to shut the government, to shut the country.
Right.
Now shutting the country again, it exposed all the rot that was there. The PPE.
Right.
KEMSA had bought PPEs at exorbitant prices.
Yes. Actually,
Now,
double the
at
price.
this moment, actually it's 30 times the
30
price,
times the price,
because a face mask like the one that is being sold here for 10 shillings, it was bought at 700 bob a piece.
Right.
700 bob a piece, so that is 70 times the price. So you realize that now.
And might I add, the tenders that were given were almost 3 billion.
Exactly, the tenders, and nothing was distributed.
Right.
And there is nothing that has been put. Nobody has been put into to account for that. Yet the only thing that we are seeing is BBI. I'm not trying to divert the thing, but it appears that the agenda, it is not the agenda of the Kenyan people. It's not in the government. It's not in the government, but in most of the leaders, the political leaders, so that they are ready to put the lives of Kenyans at risk, provided they achieve their political ambitions.
Right.
So that is and that is the root of corruption, because they will do anything to make sure that they gain for themselves, but they don't want to take care of us. So I think corruption plays 99.9% of the results that we're seeing.
As we bring it to a place, Rev Joshua, do you think?
I think he has addressed
quite a number of issues.
And that's why I said that the only language sometimes that the government listens to is the strike. Because if they cannot curb corruption, then it means there'll be no money to pay the nurses or the doctors. And that means they have to go to the streets. That means there'll be no PPEs, no equipment, and that they cannot, their working environment will not be conducive. So they have to go to the streets, they have to demonstrate, so that the government can, maybe the little money that is left can be channeled to them before someone else eats up the money, you know. So I really sympathize with our country, especially at this time, that corruption is really, people can actually, in this period, take money for personal gain at the expense of a poor Kenyan who is dying of COVID, and a poor doctor who doesn't, who sacrifices, as Firebrand Kevin puts it, that their ethics commands them rather to go and just serve these citizens.
In whatever situation.
Yeah, in whatever situation. So someone goes out there to work, leaves the family, leaves the children, leaves everything to go to serve the nation.
Right.
But this, the government doesn't provide them with whatever they need because there's corruption.
Right.
So I really believe and think it's not even a matter of thinking. Corruption is there, and we've seen it, the COVID billionaires,
Right.
and they are continuing to, and nothing has been done actually, and it's continuing to escalate, and more problems are coming up. Right. So I don't know exactly what we are going to do about this thing, but corruption is the main thing.
It's the root cause of all this.
The root cause of all this.
Okay. So as we close out, Firebrand Kevin, what would be your biblical perspective and your closing out remark?
I think we as the citizens, and I will concur with whatever Firebrand Joshua has said, that it gets to a point where you are tired of being tired.
Right.
Like you have gotten to the brink of like giving up, and at that point you just have to do whatever it takes, whatever you can do to make sure that you get the result that you want. And I won't part with a specific verse, but it will be like an illustration. I think it was Eliezer who found the Israelite men with the Canaanite women having sex, which was forbidden by God, because it was bringing, it's something like an idolatry, because they were bowing down to those gods. And he understood that there was a commandment which was given that do not kill, but he killed he took a sword and killed the men with the women, simply because he wanted to preserve the holiness of God. So I think at this moment, we as Kenyans, what we need to do is we need to take that, like we just need to do whatever God has told us to do, even if it means doing whatever we have to do to make sure that the leaders are put into are accountable for their actions. We should not support them just because they are there, and just because we are not supposed to question. But we need to get tired of being tired. We need to confront the situation, that we are in, and address the problem by ourselves if the leaders cannot address them.
Firebrand Joshua?
For me, I would just repeat what I've said before on this platform, that we just have to voice out our opinions, and we have to speak out. And as we usually say, silent no more. Because someone somewhere has to speak out. So as Kenyans, we need to speak out. If it's on Twitter, if it's on Facebook, whatever platform we have. Because at least that's the least we can do. Let's do something from wherever we are. Let's speak it out. Tweet something about it. Speak about it. Talk the media about it until it gets out there. And then we build up this, it's a voice and it has to be heard. And as we said, this government will only hear, sometimes it listens to demonstrations. That's the only way. If today nurses or doctors strike, by tomorrow they'll be paid.
Right.
And that's the unfortunate thing. So if that's the way we have to go, then let's do it. Let's go out there, let's demonstrate on Twitter, let's demonstrate on Instagram, and let's just voice out. The worst thing is keeping quiet. Right. So don't be silent.
Silent no more.
Silent no more.
Awesome. Thank you once again for your time. It's always a pleasure to do this every Monday together. My parting shot would be 1 Corinthians 10 verse 13. It says God always gives an escape route. He knows the situation that Kenya is going through. He knew what the Israelites were going through during when they were in captivity. So in this time when we are suffering this pandemic, which is which is actually a global pandemic, he is going to offer us an escape route. Well, this is all the time we had. You know the drill. Leave your comments, suggestions, and questions on all our social media platforms at JBN Television on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. I've been your host, Firebrand Michelle. Love God, love others passionately. God bless.